Toronto police say its hate crime unit is investigating a fire at a Jewish-owned grocery store that was also spray painted with the words "Free Palestine."
Make no mistake, it was a criminal act that was organized and has inflicted great harm in our communities, and in my view, was hate motivated.
The attack happened at the International Delicatessen Foods on Wednesday morning. Police say the fire is being investigated as a suspected hate-motivated arson, while the graffiti is being probed as a possible hate crime. Jaime Kirzner-Roberts is the Vice President GTA for the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs. She joins me now to discuss concerns over the rise of anti-Semitic incidents in the city. Hello, Jaime, and welcome to Power and Politics.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So I understand you met with Toronto Police Chief Myron Demkiw just before joining us today. What can you tell me about how that conversation went?
Look, we're really grateful for Chief Demkiw, for the Toronto Police. They have made it clear that they are taking this incident incredibly seriously, and that they are committed to protecting the safety of Jewish community members and for all Torontonians in light of this heinous incident.
Well, let's talk about the numbers a little bit. Toronto Police have reported growing numbers of anti-Semitic incidents since the Israel-Hamas war began. The latest statistics show that these incidents make up 53% of reported hate crimes in Toronto. What do you want to see from policymakers or law enforcement in response?
Look, we've seen many political leaders coming out and saying the right things, speaking about how anti-Semitism is unacceptable, and we're grateful for that. But at this moment, we no longer feel that words are enough. For our political leaders, this is a time to act. And we are looking to see changes being made, the changes that are necessary to be made to go after these hate groups that are encouraging their members to commit acts of violence against the Jewish community.
And when you say you're looking for changes in action, what specifically do you want to see?
It may be that there needs to be new laws around hate. The laws that we have around hate were created for during the non-digital age. And they're really quite limited in terms of how they can assist law enforcement in going after hate groups that are operating and recruiting and spreading their venom on social media. So that's one thing, and I think at the same time, social media companies need to be held accountable for their role in effectively publishing hate speech. I mean, we are seeing the groups that hate groups are, they're recruiting, they are spreading hateful and sometimes violent messages against the Jewish community online. And then we are seeing those messages sort of being lived out and resulting in actual incidents on the streets. And I do think that social media companies need to be held accountable for their role in that.
And Jaime, on a local level, what are you hearing from the Jewish community about how this climate is impacting them?
The Jewish community is afraid. I mean, the fact that a random Jewish business was targeted for such a heinous crime, this makes each of us wonder who's next. But unfortunately, none of us are surprised. We're not surprised because This is an escalation, but it's one more step in a long process that we've been seen unfolding since October 7th. We've now seen community centers, Jewish community centers that service the elderly and service, children being targeted for boycotts, targeted for vandalism. We've seen other Jewish businesses targeted for boycotts. And, just like the incident that happened the night before last, these were all businesses and organizations that had no connection whatsoever to any international events unfolding. These were random Jewish institutions and organizations that were targeted. So now that, we've seen a more violent incident, an incident involving a suspected arson. I mean, this is sort of just the next step in the progression. And that's why this is a moment, opportunity, if you will, for us as a society, I think, to reflect on how serious a problem anti-Semitism has become.
Well, Jaime, I want to jump in there because you mentioned the need for policymakers and even tech giants to take some action. Some Jewish organizations are appealing to Torontonians, regular people, to take a stand against this. What would that look like to you?
We are asking regular people, regular citizens, to take a stand because, a lot of the hate that's percolating towards the Jewish community, we're not talking about hate groups in some, dark corners of society. I mean, many of these hate groups are, their members come from prominent positions in society, teachers sometimes, or educators. They're operating very much in the open with lots of members of society that that many of us might interact with in our day-to-day life. That's why it's so important at this moment for average Torontonians and average Canadians of good conscience to stand up. Okay, this is they need to stand up and speak out to the hate that's happening in their world and in their community. There is anti-Semitism that is being spread here in all of our little worlds. That is the reality of the moment that we are in right now, and we are asking people to call that out. The Jewish community is a tiny percent of the population. We cannot fight anti-Semitism alone, and anti-Semitism is not coming from our community. It's coming from outside of it. So we are asking other people outside of our community to stand with us and to stand up and speak out.
All right, Jaime, we are unfortunately out of time for this segment. Jaime Kirzner-Roberts is the Vice President GTA for the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.